Hey everyone. We got to start off by getting something clear right off the bat because loads of people are going to willfully misunderstand what's happening here. This video is not giving out any personal information. I'm not giving out anyone's exact location. I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything stupid or illegal. This video is about discouraging unwise behavior, like posting your keys on the internet, which of course is what someone did. And that's why we're all here. Yeah, so as the title of this video indicates, this is about an internet celebrity named Yanet Garcia, sometimes known as the Mexican weather girl. She has a number of careers, in fact, not all of which you would expect to go together all the time, but she makes it work. She is, in addition to being a trained meteorologist, she's a fitness instructor, she's an OnlyFans, an Instagram model. She's just, an internet personality, and that's fine. That's something that people tend to have, those careers where they want to share their life with everyone, and they post all the time, and that's working for her. Obviously, it's gotten her far because being born way down just outside of Monterey, she now lives up apparently in the United States. It looks like she has moved to New York City, the Big Apple. She's really made it. That's great. I celebrate all of her wins and all of your wins and everybody who has a successful life. Good for you. But a number of you reached out to me. Justin was the first hat tip to him, but a number of people like, hey man, you seen Yanet Garcia's Instagram? Check this out. What do we have? We have keys, right? Very popular thing. I understand. You're proud of your new place, celebratory pictures. Great. Show your view, show your furniture, show the first meal you want to cook in your house. Please don't show your keys. Let's talk about what's going on here, because I think this is a real fun example, because there's some deduction and sleuthery that I had to kind of do on this one. First, when I realized who it was, I was like, oh man, is this in Mexico? And I have friends down there, I have State Department friends and stuff. I was like, hey, what's the most common, house locks in Mexico? And I thought she was in Ciudad or something. And I was trying to figure out brands of lock that they might be using, and how did I get the measurements? I didn't have to do that. Once I figured it out, I was like, wait a minute, this is freaking New York. Look out the window that she shows. This is New York City. So let's talk about what locks they might be using, and let's try to decode them. If you notice in this photo, this is also, I'll kind of have, split screen it, and I'll talk about this here. The photograph, they look like tip-stopped keys, which is not your usual key. Most keys have a very pronounced bow or head, and then a very pronounced shoulder right up against that head. So most keys insert in fact, let me just grab a Schlag off the wall here. Most keys, they'll have this shoulder because they'll stop when they hit the front face of the lock upon insertion. Her keys and her hands don't do that, right? So you can see, obviously, on the sides, we have mailbox postal keys, right? So this is your classic 1646 key, the US postal key. I guarantee you that's going to be her mailbox right there. Don't F around with mailboxes, very much federal crime. We're not going to decode those. You can see they look like tip-stopped slightly. That's not really what's happening here. There is a shoulder, but these blanks possibly, the Hillmans and the official ones, they have kind of a soft undercut. The blanks in her photo probably are from JMA. They have a slightly stronger undercut, but those are not tip-stopped keys. Her house keys, or her new apartment keys, they clearly are. In addition to that undercut notch, you can see the bow up by the head. There is no recognizable shoulder, right? It's just a smooth line. So that limits quite a great deal what type of keys they might be. The most famous tip-stopped keys that you'd ever see, especially in the United States, are by Best. So SFIC, small format interchangeable core, by Best. But clearly, these are not Best keys, right? They have like a pentagon-shaped head. So I had to scratch my noodle a little bit on this one. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Like, so Kwikset's got that pentagon head. Kwikset's not a tip-stopped key. They have kind of an undercut notch key. It's a control key with a big oval bow on it. That's clearly not what's going on here. I have seen a pentagon head on Harlock, some of their keys. In fact, one of them does have kind of an undercut notch. It's not really a true tip-stopped key, though. I'm like, is that what this could be? Also, if we zoom in on her keys, and it's a little blurry, you can see clearly 6 bitting positions here. Harlock, their keys, they're going to be all 5 bitting positions, so the Harlock is out. It could be maybe, I thought, what about Yale? I've heard of a weird undercut on a Yale before in a big institutional environment. I think Yale uses this as like a control key on their large format interchangeable cores. And again, the bow is all wrong, right? So it's not the right weird big diamond bow. And even then, Yale, like this is what they call the 7.5 pin on Yale. So like that's, you're not going to see that. So I was scratching my head. I'm like, wait a minute. What about Falcon? So Falcon is a brand who basically is known for kind of copying Best. They make cross-compatible keys with Best's SFIC system. And I always thought, the ones I've seen, they've had the same bow. They've had that sort of Best-style hammerhead shark-looking key bow. And then I flipped through the ILCO directory. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Falcon makes their own different style design. They actually have a design that kind of has a pentagon head. Maybe that's, look at that, that's gotta be it. And as you can see, in addition to kind of copying the system from Best, they use the same keyways as well. They call them something else, but it's clearly Best's A, B, C, D. It's all of Best's common keyways. And if we were to grab a Best A, which is, I mean, that's the most common Best key. If we kind of, let's hold it a little bit, you know, like she is. I'll zoom in here. I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking at. This is a pretty good chance she's got Falcon keys for her apartment. They're using the Best system, possibly the A keyway. And even if they weren't using the A keyway, I mean, Best does have the FM, which is their super top everything keyway. Falcon has it too. Falcon makes it FM, but unless the ILCO directory is wrong, it's not the FM profile. So, ugh. In any case, we've got a pretty good chance of knowing what key and bitting system is going on here. Let's see if we can do a decode on it. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at these keys. As we can see, we've got our mailbox keys, but we are interested in the apartment keys. Kind of a dark image here. Let's boost that up a little bit so we can see what we're doing a little more. And out of the three of these, which one do we like the most? I'm going to go ahead and let's grab this one. It seems to have some pretty good contrast. Now, all of these keys are at a little bit of an odd angle, so we'll have to play some games here, but that's why it's important to know what you're doing in Photoshop a little bit. And right off the hump, we're skewed slightly. So let's try to tweak that before we do much of anything else. Yeah, we're not perfect. May have to do some more distortion and resolving, but let's try. Let's just take a swing at what we've got. Maybe, yeah, we're going to be a little distorted. You can see it's actually flaring out a little more. We'll fix it. Yeah, getting a little bit wider to the bottom because the keys were pointed slightly toward the camera. Now, in an SFIC system like Best and Falcon, that will come into play. I mean, they do really have pretty tight tolerances on a lot of these keys. If you've ever tried to make keys like this, copying them, cutting them by, you know, origination cuts, they can be finicky. They're smaller than the usual diameter of pins. Yeah, they're just very tight. So this is just a rough proof of concept. And even at an angle, we're just going to look for the bottom of these sort of flats and yeah. So right off the hop, we've got a high cut, a very high cut, a lower cut. This could be the same, or it could be one off. This is probably the deepest possible manufacturer cut, and a little bit up here again. So bringing our grid into this, I might have overcompensated. You can see, look at the shadow on this warding cut, how it's below the gray line and then above the gray line. Yeah, I've got a little bit more skew that I need to fix on this shot here. That looks pretty lined up with the gray shadow. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? So this first cut, again, we're looking at the bottom edge. We don't care about the white spot because we're tilted. We're looking at the bottom edge closest to us at the camera. That's right on this blue line. That looks a lot like a 2 to me. Next one, definitely to me, I say that's a 1. So we got a 2 and then a 1. Down here, is that a blue line? That could be a blue line. That could be a 6. And if that's a 6, this next one, I like it as a 6. Really deep here. To me, that looks like a 9. And then out at the tip here, are we calling that another 6? Are we calling it, let's see. It could be. That could be a 6, or we could be one off. But yeah, 2, 1, 6696. Very possible, but of course, in BEST, in SFIC systems, if you're tip stopped, the bitting starts out here. So the actual bitting of this key would be, 69, nice, 6612. There you go. Maybe we could try to knock one of these out downstairs. So now here's an interesting question. Let's talk location, because in addition to posting her keys, we've got this video out of her window, and we see in front of the building, she and her partner or colleague or whoever that is, we know they're downtown, right? We could see World Trade Center, and especially we could see the Verizon building. So if you're not familiar, the Verizon building, if you're a phone nerd, right, this is an icon of downtown right there, kind of on Pearl Street. So she's looking out this way, and you can see kind of behind that you've got One Police Plaza, and beyond One PP, obviously the World Trade Center. So looking back the other direction, there were these X-shaped buildings. These are clearly what we're seeing out of her window. So we look for a high-rise, and yeah, okay. This is almost certainly it. One Manhattan Square. And in fact, if we look at I know this building. This is the Cheese Grater. I know this freaking stupid building. Ugly as hell. Yeah, if we look at her own video, if we look at her building, they're high-fiving. I think it even says One Manhattan Square right there. And then there you go. Yeah, there's the Cheese Grater. So guaranteed. That's okay. There we are. So that's what we're looking at. And if she is looking out this direction, it's going to be out probably one of these windows, or possibly if she can see World Trade Center down there. I don't know if she's looking south or if she's I think it's probably one of these that are sort of northwest facing. But either way, yeah, there you go. That's the location. Okay, got to pause here, because we have now reached the moment where a bunch of ignorant stu-nods are going to embarrass themselves by outrage commenting down there without understanding how security works and the professional security industry works and talks about these things. I am not helping criminals, stalkers, or anyone else to break into this poor woman's apartment. And she's not poor, obviously. This is a luxury high-rise building. This is the type of place that, in addition to having clearly hundreds of apartments, the only thing we know is that hers faces west. I'm not really narrowing that down. They're going to have probably round-the-clock security on this building. They're going to have a doorman. They're going to have desk staff. This is one of those newly built luxury skinny buildings. Like, it's a towering monument to gentrification, wildly out of step with the aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood. So yes, being able to tell roughly where she is located in the city, that's not putting anybody in danger. Again, this video was 100% talking about public information that has been posted to the internet. If you're someone who flaunts your wealth and posts things like this to flex on the poors, I'm pretty sure you're much more at risk for class-based violence, like down on the street, in restaurants, or waiting for a car or something like that. Your apartment building, the reason people have these apartment buildings, these grand towers, is that they can have everything they want inside of one building, and they keep the poors out. So yeah, for anyone interested in One Manhattan Square, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers we got here. So average price. This is not the rent. This is the price per square foot. Are you kidding me? As predicted, yeah, editing Dave jumping in here with the follow-up. Yeah, look at it. This building has a cigar room, a golf simulator, a wine room, a bowling alley in the building, a dog run in the building. Are you kidding me? A relaxation treatment rooms, fire pits, business center. Yeah, this is one of those buildings where it's designed that you never leave the building, right? And sure enough, 24-hour doorman concierge. Yeah, so they've got they've got round-the-clock security. This is not putting anyone's life at risk. My video is not putting anyone's safety at risk. The existence of a building like this with prices like this is putting some people's safety at risk, because when the pitchforks and torches come out, I mean, you can tell which buildings they're going for first. But holy God. So no, knowing where someone lives is not a security risk. And if somebody's personal threat matrix, their personal risk profile, is so, dangerous, if they have people coming after them all the time, they can choose to not post their own house on the internet, which is my point in all of this. Like, we just talked about stalking on this channel in a very recent video. If you are not some mega rich, millionaire person, if you're just a regular human being like the rest of us, please don't post pictures of your own house on the internet. And certainly don't post pictures of your own house keys on the internet. It really is possible for someone to look at those pictures, make the key, and then if they know where you live, I don't know, maybe you're going to have an uninvited guest when you're not home. Like, just because most people in this world are good and most people in this world aren't criminal doesn't mean there isn't the occasional criminal out there, especially if you're the type of person who, like, my wife and I and my friends and I, we've talked about this very recently. If you have very crazy stalker type enemies, keep your keys the fuck away. Keep your personal info personal and private. If I'm out at cons, if I'm out at events, I'm going to share plenty of photos out there. I don't share photos of my house. I don't share photos of my keys. I would encourage you to not share those kind of photos either. I want you today and every day to think about your security posture and stay safe out there.